Good evening, ladies and gents. Welcome back to the Fallout Bar, the penultimate Premier League night of league phase action, however you want to say it. I'm not on my own. Is probably where we're going to start. Not quite the dynamic duo, maybe a terrible twosome, but myself and Mr. Cam McFarlane here for you this evening. Cam, how we doing, mate?
All right, mate. Good to be back. Were you on your own last week? I was busy. I didn't even get to watch it. So,
I think the last two, mate. Two of the
have you
last
done the
three.
last two?
Yeah.
Oh, ideal. Yeah, well, it's good to be back. It's usually me and you anyway. It's tends to be for the most part. This is our remit, and this is what we do. So, yeah, it's good to be back, and it's good to be back with you and seeing your beautiful face as always.
What are you after?
Um, you know what I'm after today. I've already hinted at it, and I've already snuck a subtle hint in the bottom corner.
I've not missed it. Away with that. Absolutely despicable. I'm going to task you one thing tonight. Can you keep an eye on the PDC socials until they post the table? They never ever post it early. They're too busy with
Well,
moments.
I've got it from Sky when it finished, which I don't think had the leg difference on it, but I have got the table. So
Okay. As far as I know, Johnny Clayton's won more games than Nathan Aspinall. So even if they finish level on points, that's the tiebreaker before leg difference.
is it? Well, that's what. To be fair, that's what Sky showed on as the first, but they didn't show leg difference. They had matches won, but surely leg difference comes first, doesn't it?
I have no idea. Maybe I'm
I
just
thought
making
it did, but maybe not. I don't know. But that's the only thing that Sky showed. Sky showed matches won. So yeah, Johnny Clayton's won two more matches, and they play each other next week. So
yeah, I mean,
by that, Nathan has to win two games next week then because
I
he's
believe
2
so.
points
Yeah,
behind.
you
Yeah,
have to do enough to go beyond him, not just beating him.
not just
Um,
beat him. Okay.
we'll get on to next week pretty shortly. Night 15 in Sheffield, another pretty standard night of Premier League darts. A couple of exceptional performances, a couple of not so great. Um, a fair few big finishes flying around tonight. That is one thing I will say.
Yeah, yeah, and we tend to get that, don't we? In the Premier League, we see the big finishes. We see moments of brilliance, but maybe not sustained brilliance for a lot of the time. But but yeah, there's those magic moments that get the crowd going, and we saw it from game one tonight. It started early.
We did early on, and as the matches got that little bit tighter and worth that little bit more, they tended to drop off just that little bit. Evening to everybody in the chat room as well. Thanks for coming back once again. Craig's in, Bob's in, Matthew is in as well. As ever, get involved throughout the show. If you've got any questions for us or observations, do fire into the chat room. And get involved with your predictions later on at the back end of the show. I know that we have spoken to Johnny Clayton this evening. That'll be really interesting. We get a clip of that interview to find out his perspective heading in to next week's final night of Premier League action. And of course, we should have a conversation from tonight's winner, a hat-trick hero, Michael Bully Boy Smith. Let's start at the beginning, though. Match number one, and what a sensational performance from Gerwin Price.
Outrageous. I mean, the average is good. The 180 hitted was good, but to also go 6 out of 6 on doubles and fire in a 158 in this match as well is just ridiculous, isn't it? It's what we've seen from him so much over the last few weeks, and especially seems to be first game of the night. He just comes out firing every single time. And Nathan Aspinall's played really well and got absolutely smoked. He's not even been in the game, and he's averaged 104 and been 50% on his doubles.
Yeah, I mean, knowing what's online, it is just between Nathan Aspinall and Johnny Clayton for that final top four spot. Gerwin Price, Michael Van Gerwen, and Michael Smith are all secure. Peter Wright, Dimitri Vandenberg, and Chris Dobey can no longer reach finals night. That was decided last week. If you'd offered Nathan Aspinall 104 average and 50% on his doubles at the start of the night, you'd have gone, oh, he's going to be well happy with that. He's going to be pretty content that he's got a fighting chance here, and he's going to have a real run at displacing Johnny Clayton ahead of Aberdeen next week. That is not.
Yeah. No, to average 104 and get 4 darts at a double, it's ridiculous. Isn't it? It's just stupid and it's just not fair. Like, it shouldn't be allowed. And yeah, just a little bit unlucky for Nate, to be fair, that he's drawn Gezi in the first round, whereas Clayton got a little bit lucky drawing someone who's a bit
given the form
in
of
this Premier
Gezi
League.
and Michael Smith, we do have to question how much they will play an important factor in next week as well in that final 4 battle. Obviously, neither player will play anybody to start with, but where the number 1 and number 2 are in the draw could be all important. Solid job from Gavin Price, 111 average, including a 158 checkout, 6 from 6 on the outer ring. There are glimpses right now, more often than not, that Gavin Price is. I don't know if I want to say
He's the best player in darts right now when he's playing well.
When he's playing well, his top level right now is beyond what anybody else can live with. However,
no one can get near, but there are
Michael Smith won the last 3 weeks, and Michael Van Gerwen won the Euro Tour last weekend. So there's a bit of. I guess he wasn't at the Euro Tour, but
there is a dip off, and he doesn't back it up in every single game, but the level he's playing at his best game right now is untouchable for anyone else in the world of darts right now. And I was a little bit, I think last time I was on, I was a little bit harsh on him, which was the first week of the 3 that Bully won. No, it wasn't. It was when Nathan won, sorry. And Gezi was a bit petulant and a bit of a sausage in the final. But yeah, other than that though, he's played some spectacular stuff, and right now you wouldn't fancy playing him, especially not. And like I say, first game of the night seems to be when he's performing at his best as well. So you certainly wouldn't fancy drawing him in round 1 at any point.
No, he's only lost 5 times in the opening round out of 15 attempts. Ridiculous level.
I assume there's not many of them recent either.
I mean, no. Last week was 1. The time before that was week 5 and 6 back to back.
Yeah, I was going to say I didn't see any of last week, so I wasn't sure on that one. But
no.
Other than that, not many at all.
I'm just looking. Van Gerwen's only done it 4 times, losing first round. Did he lose for 5 tonight?
He lost first round tonight. Yeah.
Including 3 of the last 4. Tell me the man is on the beach. I'm telling you, the man is on the beach. I've been saying this for weeks.
I think he'll be back off the beach when it comes to finals night, though, somehow.
Yeah, but it's when he times that. I think he's got to rock up next week and send a statement.
Maybe, but then again, does it work in his favour that if he turns up and stinks the gap out next week, everyone's thinking, give me a bit of Michael Van Gerwen next week, and then he just rocks up at the O2 and does what he usually does.
How many points behind Price is Van Gerwen? Enough. There we go.
Give me a second.
5 points behind.
5 behind, yeah.
Whilst Gerwen Price plays Peter Wright. So you've got to suggest that Michael Van Gerwen will not finish number 1. That battle will between.
No, he doesn't. He's done. It's between Smith and Price.
Yeah, which means Van Gerwen is playing one of them regardless.
And
which means he has to send a statement next week, because right now both are in superior form to him.
Yeah, if Bully wins the night next week as well, depending on what Gezi does, if Gezi wins 1 round, then it will come down to like difference for who tops the table as well.
It's getting a bit interesting.
It is. It's nice to have something on it at the end, isn't it? Like, there's not a huge amount in terms of qualification, but there's still a lot riding on it.
Yeah, let's fly through the rest of the games tonight, and then I think we can take a deeper dive into next week. I think that is the focus right now. Look, tonight was a solid evening of darts. We've seen another ton plus average from Chris Dobey and a 6-4 win over Peter Wright. I thought Wright looked steadier. Again, there was a little dip from Dobey from around leg 5 or 6 where he just let Snakebite back into the game a bit. Still the odd wayward dart from Peter Wright, and I think this is where the chopping and changing is now hurting him. And People have been saying that for a long, long time, and the level of consistency, but he doesn't have that set he can just return to. He doesn't seem to know where he is right now. Look, the Premier League's never been a happy hunting ground for him, and he might rock up at the match play in the World Cup in the next 8 weeks and win both. Peter Wright is that capable of a dart player. But a straight barrel, again, they seem steadier. He just needs to stick with one now, I think, for 3 to 4 weeks.
I don't know. We've said this so many times, haven't we, that he needs to stick with one, and then he just rocks up with some ridiculous set out of nowhere and averages 110. Like it just, it can be anything. I don't
for the rest of his life. I just think he needs some consistency for a couple of weeks just to build something as a platform, because he doesn't even have that at the minute.
I don't. Yeah, that's the thing. I don't think the darts are the issue and the switching the darts are the issue. I think the throw is the issue. There's still an issue there. Those wild darts, when he's playing well, we don't see them. He's probably the straightest thrower in world darts when he's on form and playing well. And it's just not quite there at the moment, even with the sort of barrels that we know he's so good with. And that's got to be the worry. And where you say, if he goes and sticks with a set, then maybe he can iron out the issue in the throw rather than the set or the switching, and figure out, actually, this is what I'm slightly doing wrong, and it might help him out a little bit. But yeah, he's just not quite there. But again, a very, very good performance from Chris Dobey again tonight, which we've seen week in, week out throughout this Premier League. And the points tally doesn't really show it. But I think if you threw the tournament averages up there, I haven't got them in front of me, but I reckon he's higher in the tournament averages than he is in his position.
I think that's 100% bang on. I don't think you're going to see that. I don't think that's up for debate. His average has been ridiculous. There was a tweet the other week, and his lowest in about 9 weeks was 98. It was just ridiculous.
Yeah, just not getting wins enough, but he got over the line tonight, and I thought it was pretty solid from him. I thought, yes, it was a little bit ropey on the outer ring, and like you say, Wright was pretty good in that section tonight. That's what got him, sort of kept him in the game and gave him opportunities. But Dobey at the end of the day, even with 28% on the doubles, averaged 102, and the scoring power was there. The 180s, which we haven't really seen from him, even in his big performances and his big averages, he hasn't hit the 180s that we usually expect to see from him. But tonight they were there.
Yeah, he has. On to match number 3, and it's another win for Michael Smith over Michael Van Gerwen, just asserting that level right now in the Premier League from the Bully Boy, world number 1 and world champion. This was actually a pretty good contest, I thought. And I can tell you the moment where it was lost. When Van Gerwen started prattling around for 50, he left it after 9 darts and went for it first dart in hand, smiled a little bit, made a mess of the clean-up, and the game just sort of unravel a little bit after that from there.
Yeah, I mean, I like going for it first dart in hand. I always do it. I always do it, but I always do it because there's less chance of me hitting the big number to leave the double. So I think at least guarantee yourself 1 dart at the double and go straight for it. And then you've got a huge target at the bottom of the board of between 7 and 17 to make sure you leave yourself a double regardless.
There is maths that will support going for the bullseye first. There's a chance you actually get 3 darts at double.
Yeah,
by going for
absolutely.
The
like you miss it in the 18
by a wide.
Yeah.
You then get 2 more darts at a double, right? If you go for a single number miss, you're chasing. If you hit a 25, you still get 2 darts at a double. If you go single number first, you should guarantee yourself 2 darts at a double. That might not come off as it is, but that's the most you get. So there is math that will support going for bullseye with 3 in hand.
And with the crowd and a bit of fun. If you do it and it goes in, they're on your side, and the rest of the game, it's all in your favour. So I do get that side of things. I actually think I don't.
What to do is piss around with your next 5 darts at double and not hit it.
Yeah, if you do it, you've got to either take it out that visit, just don't fuck it up, basically. Don't mess it up. Sorry. It's late enough, isn't it? But yeah, like I say, I actually think it's another one of them games though from Van Gerwen tonight where if he averages mid-90s, he's just beatable. you can just get at him. If he's not averaging a ton, you fancy your chances against him because he's not as clinical as he always has been on the outer ring. He's not that force where you just think he's always going to take it these days. So you're always going to get opportunities if he's not at his best and he's averaging mid-90s. Again, another game like we mentioned earlier, a lot of big finishes in there again. We had 154 from Van Gerwen, 130 from Smith as well. It was still a good contest to watch, even though it wasn't either of them at the best.
But when they're not, the issue is that Van Gerwen used to win an awful lot of games when he's not at his best.
Yeah, but not at his best used to be 100. He's not at his best now. He's 91 to 95.
At his best to conquer a Michael Van Gerwen, and that power just isn't there right now. And that'll be a worrying sign heading into the next 2 weeks for him.
No, but I do think he's not at his best now. He isn't the level he's not at his best used to be. Like he's not at his best before when he was dominating everything. Was 100 average solidly. Was him not showing up. But it's not that anymore because he's nowhere near as clinical on the outer ring as he used to be.
Yeah, indeed. On to the final first round match, and unlike week number 1, where our thumbnail is from, the very, very first game of the Premier League campaign was Dobey and Vandenberg against Johnny Clayton. The Ferret gained some revenge this evening, 100 average from him, including top of the shot 170 checkout. They're just beautiful when they go.
It's the second best for me. I love me a 132, whichever route you go, whether it's the 2 bulls and the double 16 or whether it's the 25 and the 57 and then the bullseye again. It's just a wonderful finish, whatever way you go. But yeah, second to that is the 170, and it's just magic, isn't it? When it goes, it's always good to see a maximum go of whatever it is. And yeah, really good performance from Johnny. Solid, very, very solid. Basically just averaged straight 15 dart legs for the entire game, which is going to get it done a lot of times, especially against a Dimitri who's not had the tournament that we would have expected from him. He's not really shown up, but also you kind of expected it because I think he was the last on any of our lists for who should have been in based on form and what he's done over the last year or so. And I think that's shown a lot in this tournament. And it's only because Peter Wright's been nowhere near his best and struggling that he's not the one at the bottom of the shop, really.
Yeah, and there were when he beat Clayton week number 1, coming out that little bit more energized, the quicker pace of play. It just seems to be enjoying it, and that occurred for the first few weeks, and it's just sort of unravelled since then for Dobey and Vandenberg, hasn't it?
He's just stuck,
isn't he? He's just sort of existed in the Premier League since the halfway stage, since week 8. He has won his first round game once.
He's stuck in that. He doesn't know what to do, is the problem. He doesn't know whether to be the irritating, slimy little man that doesn't throw a dart for 15 minutes or be the great to watch, quick player who fires in the scores and plays brilliantly sometimes when he does it. But when he does that, it almost seems to help his opponent. And as well as he plays, he still seems to get beat. Whereas when he does that awful slowing it down, he actually wins more games, it seems. And I think he's stuck between wanting to be more entertaining and better to watch and actually winning games. And he doesn't know which way to go with it, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, looking back at his past performances, up until the end of week 8, so the halfway stage, every other week he was winning at least one game. Yeah. That's enough points just to keep your name ticking over, keep you in contention. You pick up a win somewhere else, you're straight back into that meaty part of the table. Since then, he has made it past the quarterfinal stage once in week number 12 when he played Peter Wright. Yeah,
exactly. And that's the problem. And like you say, Michael Smith said this last week or the week before after he won the night. All he aimed to do every week was just win his first round game. Because if you do that, you will qualify. You only have to win your first round game every single week. That'll get you 32 points. That will qualify for the top 4.
Yeah.
And it is that level of consistency that you need. It's what's kept Nathan Aspinall in this tournament. Otherwise, there'd have been the top four would be done by now. But Nathan's won a lot of first round games without a lot of extra success other than the one night that he won. And it's just about that consistency, and Dimmy's just not got it right now.
100%. Let's see what happens to him throughout the rest of the year. He will be leading Team Belgium at the World Cup in a few weeks' time. Let's do the semi-finals. Then we'll play our first clip. Then we'll listen to the talk final. First up, Gerwyn Price, a 6-2 win over Chris Dobey. Again, 104 averages, 14 darts a leg. Some between 14 and 15 every leg. 104 highest checkout, 2-ton pluses in there, 40% on the doubles. I think Dobey just started this one way too slowly. At one point, he was averaging 88. He's upped it to 98, which shows that he's then started to contend that little bit, but just left himself too much to do against one of the best in the world right now.
Yeah, it was just too late, wasn't it? He just didn't get going early enough and allowed Gezi to sort of run away with it a little bit. I mean, if you compare it with the first game, it was crap on the outer ring from Gezi, wasn't it? Only 40%. not the 100 from the first game. No, it was again just a really, really good performance from him. It's that level that we just know he's got, and yeah, you've got to play really well to beat him, and you've kind of got to put him under a little bit of pressure early, which, like you say, Dobey didn't do. Just didn't quite manage it. No big checkouts, which we know he's always got one in his locker. He loves the 160, he loves the 170, Dobey, with how well he hits the sort of treble 20 and the bullseye. But yeah, 32 highest checkout. Again, 40% of the doubles himself, but just not scoring well enough. He only got 5 attempts at a double, and if you don't score against Gezi, you're not going to get many chances, and you're just not. I mean, 5 attempts at a double, you're never going to win a game because you need 6 just to win it.
Correct. I did get a win if it's Dobey. Into the second semi-final, Michael Smith against Johnny Clayton. The fact this one was so close, considering there's 13 points gap in the averages. Michael Smith with the better doubling percentage, the better average. Clayton just has this knack of sticking in games right now. Fought valiantly. There was a moment in, I think it was leg 8, maybe, or 7, where you thought Johnny had a chance, and it took him something like 6 darts from 187. He still didn't get a dart double. And that was a moment this one just got away from him, I think, because when you're clinging on to Michael Smith in the form that he's in, you can't afford to let those chances pass you by.
No, you can't. And like you say, that is the thing, isn't it? It's when you get those opportunities, you've got to take them, especially with how well he's playing. I mean, look how it's a great performance from Smith, but Johnny was still in there, and like I say, he's got that sort of just that battling quality where James Wade-esque in that he doesn't have to average anywhere near what you do, but it's very difficult to get rid of him. He's finishing so good, especially around that anywhere between sort of 60 and 121. He's the best in the world. And he just keeps himself in games, just hits shots at the right moments, and doesn't need to be anywhere near you in the average. And like I say, it's a bit of an anomaly, this average, that there's such a disparity between the two. Yet still, Johnny was right in this game at 4-all. And actually hit more 180s than Michael Smith, which, I mean, we don't see many 180s from Johnny anyway. He's a huge 140 hitter. And
we say that, but Jimmy outscored him on the 140s in the first game. He just threw loads of steady tons.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah. But he's just that steady player that eats tons, it's 140s. That's his game. He's not a big 180 hitter. He never has been. The way his darts go in and the way he sort of bashes them through them at times to get in there, he's never going to be a big 180 hitter. It's not the same way that Smith's go in and sort of go in off each other. But yeah, he actually out 180 Michael Smith here, and Michael Smith that averaged 108 almost, which is ridiculous to then still average 13 points less. But shows you how well Smith scored throughout this game, and the doubling was really good from him as well. Let's say it's 6 of 11. It's just so consistent. And when you're scoring as well as he was, it's going to be difficult to beat. And when it came down to it, he just had that level to get him over the line.
He did indeed. Let's hear them from Johnny Clayton. Just a short clip from a post-match press interview we did with him in Sheffield. The full interview available on our YouTube channel, as well as every winner from the previous 15 weeks. Yes, this Premier League really has been going on that long, and it's nearly over. I promise you. This is Johnny Clayton looking ahead to next week's final week of league action.
Yeah, massive. Obviously, you know, in the game of darts, all the pressure's on Nathan next week. You know, it's like he has to win. You know, if I win, I'm through. So, you know, really speaking, the ball's in my court, really. Because, like I say, if I beat Michael, because not Michael, sorry, Nathan, we are playing each other. If I win, I'm through. So I'm just going to try and go out and try and relax and try and play my game. Easier said than done, but I'm going to try my best. You know, I'd much prefer to be 1, 2 or 3, I got to be honest. But listen, it's pressure. It makes you or breaks you. Hopefully it makes me.
Interested from Johnny, trying to push it off himself, but it keeps coming back on him a little bit. He knows the power is in his hands in Aberdeen.
He does, but he also clearly knows that it's going to get to him a little bit as well. There's a huge amount riding on it, and as much as you can try and say, yeah, I'm in the driver's seat, if anything, that puts more pressure on him. Nathan's got a bit of a free run at it from what Johnny's saying there, but even when he mentions pressure, Johnny, it still sounds so relaxing. It's just a wonderful accent, isn't it?
Yeah, back-to-back losses for Nathan Aspinall in the opening round as well. A hat-trick of those. We'll see him slip from the top 4 and not make it to finals. Interestingly, both of those players, every time they've competed in the Premier League, have been at the Premier League finals night. So one of them is about to lose that streak. Onto the final tonight, and it was a hat-trick of titles for the bully boy, Michael Smith, who, for a lackluster first half campaign, I think it's fair to say he has been brilliant in this second half. He is peaking at the right time, it would seem, Cam.
He's flying, isn't he? He's absolutely flying. He's seemed confident the last few weeks. He was talking about the fact that he only needs to be in that top 4, and he really fancies it. But who's writing him off for going and winning the league phase at this point? Because I'm not. There is nobody playing better than him right now, which is ridiculous to say with how well Gezzy's playing. But he's just doing it consistently throughout the night, whereas we've seen it again tonight. Gezzy is starting so well, playing well in the semi-final, but falling off a little bit in the final when it's that chance to get over the line and wrap it up. Little moment in the interview afterwards with Bully, though, where he mentioned the fact that Gezzy thought he'd already won the league when Michael got beat, when Van Gerwen got beat tonight, which he hasn't, and it's certainly not wrapped up yet. Whether that was just a little bit of complacency in the final, though, where he thought he'd already won the league, I don't know. But he doesn't really strike me as that sort of character that ever really takes a match easy and would take his foot off the gas. He's so competitive. So I don't know what it was, but there was just that dip as it gets towards the end of the night. And I can't really put my finger on it, to be honest, because he's one of, if not the fittest dart players there is out there. Stamina is certainly not an issue for him, whereas it could be for possibly some others that aren't in quite as good shape and aren't quite as sort of physically fit as he might be. I can't really get my head around why he keeps falling off as the night goes on, but we do keep seeing it, and especially over the last few weeks, his worst performance is always coming in the final.
Yeah. Starting well. I suppose that first match, the points are worth more. That second match, the points are actually worth the lowest amount. Getting from the semi-final to the final, point is only worth one.
We've discussed this at length before now. I completely disagree with it. I think if any game should be worth 1, it should be the first round, but that's not the way it works. So I get that. But then the final's then worth 2 again. So the final's fully worth a lot more than what the semi is, but he's performing better in semi-finals than the final.
He is so fab. who knows what happens next week? We'll look at next week in a bit more detail in a minute because there are more talking points there, i.e. the fact that Going Price is in the side of the draw that matters next week. Michael Smith is not. That's a free run to the final. Or Van Gerwen, if he wants to assert, finishing second, but that's literally just to win the throw at this point because he cannot catch him. And all of that palaver. However, let's hear from tonight's winner for the third straight week. This is Michael Smith.
See, Gez has been the best player. Well, I've been the best player. Well, not the best. I've been one of the best players for the last 3 weeks and picked up 15 out of 15, puts me straight up there. But the O2 is different. You go in there, Gez has never been there. I've been there only once. Michael's obviously won it 6 times, and you don't know if it's going to be Nathan or Johnny. So just go in there. It could be nice being number one, but you know me for a long time, a lot of years. I don't brag. I just want to get on with it. I just want to play darts. I want to put on the best performance I can for the paying customers, and as long as they go home happy and I go home with that trophy, I'm not bothered.
The fact you're beating all your rivals over these last few weeks as well, does that have a bearing on the O2 and in the back of their minds knowing, hang on a minute, he keeps beating me?
Yeah, well, I said before tonight, I've got Michael tonight, probably Michael again next week in the semis, and then Michael again in the O2 in the semis. So yeah, as long as I can put some there, it doesn't matter, because it doesn't matter what you did yesterday, it's what you do today. So wherever you go through, it happens. I just want to be playing well and doing what I'm doing, and I don't want to give you more clout talk. I just want to get to the O2 now. I know I'm free, but I just want to get there and I want to showcase my talent.
I like that.
Channeling is inner Gary Anderson. I just want to play darts.
Yes, an interesting one to channel, but yeah. Channeling is in a Gary Anderson completely. Just let me get there. Let me do what I can.
Yeah.
There is a chance he can still finish number one. We'll look at that now.
Well, yeah, he just said there, hasn't he? He said, I've got Michael probably in the semis next week, and then I've got Michael in the semis at the O2. There's a good chance that that's not the case, and he's got either Johnny or Nathan in the semis at the O2.
Because this is how the table currently stands. Going Price is top, 36 points. He has won 4 nights, 22 matches, and a leg difference of plus 41. Mark Smith in second on 33 points, so 3 points behind. He's also won 4 nights, 20 matches in total, and plus 19 leg difference. That might be the kicker. I'm pretty sure nights 1 comes first. But we'll have to wait and see if Michael Smith goes on and lifts that next week. If not, it's looking like it will be Going Price. Michael Van Gerwen is in third. He's won 3 nights, all of those pretty early in the campaign. 31 points for him. He can catch Going Price. But it'd be very unlikely from here. Plus 30 leg difference. A big early defeat for Going Price next week. Johnny Clayton is in 4th place at the minute. He has a 2-point buffer to Nathan Aspinall. He is better off on nights 1. He is better off on matches 1. He is better off in leg difference, legs 1, and currently trails in legs against the throw. The fact that is on the table suggests it might be a deciding factor if everything else is level. But right now, I do not believe that's the case. Nathan Aspinall in 5th, 22 points for him, 1 night 1. 12 matches minus 18 leg difference. Chris Dobey has won a night. He's on 14 points. He's 8 behind that 4th place. 5th place, Dimitri Vandenberg in 7th on 11 points, and Peter Wright at the bottom of the table on 9. We all know what the talking point is now. It is who is going to finish 4th next week between Johnny Clayton and Nathan Aspinall. And we know they will take on each other as we look ahead. The opening match of the night will be Going Price against Peter Wright, followed by Johnny Clayton against Nathan Aspinall. Michael Smith will take on Dimitri Vandenberg, and Michael Van Gerwen will take on Chris Dobey. Now, interesting both sides here. Obviously, all eyes will be on that second match between Johnny Clayton and Nathan Aspinall, given the 2 points behind, the fact that we think Nathan will have to go beyond that, not just beat Johnny, but he might have to win the round afterwards, depending on leg difference swings, etc. A shot at Going Price or Peter Wright. If you're Johnny Clayton, you're hoping your World Cup teammate might do you a bit of a favour there. I think looking at
in which way? In which way? By losing in the first round or by throwing him an easy win in the semi?
Well, the other half of the draw, Dobey, Van Gerwen, Michael Smith, Dimitri Vandenberg. Given the fact that Michael Smith is chasing that top spot, the other three don't really have a great deal to be playing for.
They don't, but
I think there's
also
£5 difference in prize money. Vandenberg's 3 points behind Chris Dobey. The only thing Vandenberg will be really playing for is either to win night and become the 7th player to do so. Were you one of the ones that predicted all 8?
Can't remember now. No, I don't think so.
Sounds like a yes and hiding from it.
I honestly cannot remember at this stage. It's been we're on week 15 here. I have no idea. But what you're saying is
he's right overtaking him in the table. But when he plays Gerwin Price first up, first game, the only advantage maybe there is that it is in Scotland.
Yeah. So the plastic Scotsman might get some support.
Steady.
Anyway, the only thing that I think possibly plays against Bully is the fact that no one's got anything to really play for at the bottom, which means they can just go out there and relax and play with a bit of freedom, and there's no pressure on them. They might actually throw their A game.
Yeah, they might indeed. Chat room, get ready. We're going to ask you for your predictions as well as ours for those games next week. Just a couple of things to crack up on screen. This night last year, Marcus Smith had no night wins and everyone else had one. This time out, he's won a quarter of the events guaranteed as a minimum, and at least one player will finish without a nightly win. Compared to last.
Come on, let's be real. Two.
At least one. At least look, Ryan Searle wasn't in the match play. It's at least one. Until somebody requires more than 36 and over, a game of cricket is still on.
Nice of you to bring it back to cricket, because realistically, what we're talking about now as well is we're talking about how important it is to make the quarterfinals. Just as it is in the T20 Blast. And then making finals night is the really important one, and getting there to the big dance on the final day. So if you do like cricket as well, there's a little thing in the bottom corner there for you to have a look at. Come and have a look. Myself and Jarlath Eaton, friend of the show.
Using my Adobe account as well.
Thanks for teeing us up for that, mate. Nice one.
Bobble says this year Top Spot has more points than 2022 Premier League. That's with one night to go. And Bob also backs me up saying you got what you said at the start of the Premier League, that not all 8 players will win a night in the Premier League this year. I actually said 6 as well. So as long as 2 of those don't win it, I never said which 2. I thought Wright would get one. I didn't think Dobey would get one, who then goes and gets on week 1. I thought one of them might steal one somewhere else, but I did go with 6. And
I actually have no idea what I said.
And Johnny Clayton
if someone
in Manchester and half of the draw where he played Peter Wright, Chris Dobey, or Dimitri Vandenberg, I've nailed those 2 this year. That's all I care about.
If someone in the chat has a better memory than me, if someone could tell me whether I was right or wrong, I don't actually know. The only thing I can actually remember, I think, from the entire Premier League, it's all blurred into one, was the fact that I definitely got Nathan Aspinall winning the night when nobody else in the world had Nathan Aspinall winning that night.
And Dobey was definitely in trouble in Nottingham.
Yes, when he was 3-0 up. Averaging 107.
He's in a load of trouble here, lads.
You may have had a beverage or 2 at that point.
Yeah, maybe. Anyway, let's look ahead to
biggest surprise of the Premier League so far is the fact I'm drinking water.
Yes. What's going on here? Next week, first game, Gerwin Price, Peter Wright. Will Peter Wright close out his campaign with a win?
No.
Scoreline?
Gerwin Price plays his best darts in the first game of every week, and he comes out, averages 108 plus, and beats him 6-1.
Friendly. Just chucking the 1 in there for good measure.
Yeah, I didn't want to be too harsh.
I don't think he gets the win, but I do think it's a bit close. I'm going to say 6-3. Depends who wins the throw, doesn't it? Bob says Gezi will win this one 6-3. Matthew says Price 6-2. Any more before we move on? I'll give you guys another 10 seconds to fire some predictions in the chat room. And then there's actually a 10-second delay by me saying that and you saying that, and then you've got to type it. So maybe it's more like 20 seconds. So I'm going to just note the fact
fill it for a minute and just wander.
By the way, a trendsetter that I am.
Oh no, my hair is just ridiculously long. I've been far too busy.
I was wearing one.
Yeah, I've been far too busy over the last few weeks to get my hair cut. I've got a ridiculous, almost mullet at the back. It's so long. It's like it's back. It's like we're back in lockdown. And I can't actually get my hair cut again. It's almost as bad as it was then.
Shocking. I'd expect nothing else from a Manchester lad. Craig has also gone Price 6-3. I think we're going to move on. We'll call out any more if they come through shortly. Match number 2, the all-important one, I guess, here, Cam. Who holds their nerve in this match? Johnny Clayton or Nathan Aspinall?
As impartial as ever, as I always am, Nathan Aspinall wins this one 6-3. And I have absolutely no reason whatsoever to pick that based on form or anything else other than the fact that I hope he does. And that's what I want to see, because I love me some Nathan Aspinall. I want to see him at finals.
Interesting. I am concerned about the way Johnny was speaking in that interview at the end, and just that he might get that little bit edgy if he's already thinking like that. Concerned, possibly more so, by this being the most high-pressure environment we will have seen Nathan Aspinall in a long time, and just how well the action holds up in that.
I mean, it like you say, even when it doesn't hold up.
He's getting results at the minute.
He's still doing it. Like,
he still come back and made a World Championship final. Right, it's not impossible.
I mean, he went and won a night 3 weeks ago in playing the home favourite in a horrendous atmosphere for him, and even under that pressure, he was able to hold it together. So it doesn't worry me at all.
He's spoken about it a lot more since then. I think it's playing on his own mind. He's obviously not won in the last 2, by the way. Remember that. I'm going to say Clayton just about edges this. I'm going to say 6-4. I'm going to say it gets a little bit edgy, and that is all the enjoyment we get for the evening.
I like Matthew's prediction in the chat there that he's gone bold. He's gone 6-5 with match darts missed for both. That's a proper prediction.
My issue is if they both miss darts, I back Nathan to hit it sooner. Unless it's at double 16.
Yeah, possibly.
That's Johnny's corner. But that's where I'm going with that one. I'm going to say Clayton wins this one 6-4. Craig's got Clayton 6-4. Bob's got Clayton 6-4. Matthew obviously has Clayton 6-5 with those match darts missed by both. Match number 3.
There's nothing Nathan Aspinall likes more than everyone writing him off, though.
Yeah. He'll be watching this going, you all, I'm going to have him. Match number 3 is number 2 seed against number 7, Michael Smith against Dimitri Vandenberg. As far as I'm aware, Vandenberg has not beaten Smith in this campaign. He's not beaten any of the top 3 so far. He's beaten Clayton once, Dobey once, and the rest of his wins have come against Aspinall and Peter Wright.
Yeah, and that doesn't change next week. I just can't see it. I think Smith's playing too well, and I just don't think that Dimmy's playing well enough. I just don't see the consistency. I don't see him keeping it together for long enough. Even if he gets off to a good start in games just in over the last few weeks, go 2-0 up and still get pretty handily beaten. So 6-2 Michael Smith.
Bob, I love the prediction, but you've got a game early.
Yep.
We're on Smith.
And so Matthew.
Matthew's now followed because he's seen MVG in the chat. We're talking Smith Vandenberg, boys. I think Smith wins it. I still think I've got an ink. I do and I don't, because Johnny Clayton's recent record against Gerwyn Price is actually terrible as well. But there is that moment that if Clayton does beat Aspinall, it just relieves so much pressure and frees him up for a little bit to just go out and do whatever he wants for the rest of the night. It won't change where he sits. He's still going to finish fourth. And actually, he probably doesn't want to play Gezi. So beating Gerwyn Price in the semi-final next week, opening that door for Michael Smith, might be the play. There's other things at work here. I'm going to say Michael Smith wins this one pretty handily. I'm going to say 6-3 to the bully boy. I just think he's a class above right now. Chat room, we've got a 6-3 from Craig for Smith, a 6-3 from Matthew for Smith, and a 6-4 from Bob. And then on to the final game in the quarterfinals, Michael Van Gerwen against Chris Dobey. I'm going to shoot first here so you don't steal my prediction, but I think Dobey does him. I think he's scoring fantastically, and he's just got a little bit of a hoodoo over Van Gerwen in the Premier League as far as I remember this year. So I'm going to say Chris Dobey does him next week. 6-4.
Okay. Just that here going, don't make jokes about you shooting first. Anyway, moving on. I actually, to be honest, I wasn't going to steal your prediction. I've got Michael Van Gerwen winning this. I just think it's another week where we see Dobey play really well, but get beat. And I think close, very close. I think 6-5, but I think Van Gerwen gets over the line.
Interesting chat room. Bob had MVG 6-3. Matthew had MVG 6-3. So we're just waiting on Craig's prediction for that one. And whilst we do that, your finalist and winner next week.
Nathan Aspinall loses to Michael Smith in the final. But in doing that, does that do enough to get him in? It does, doesn't it? That'll get him in by a point. Yeah, Nathan Aspinall loses to Michael Smith in the final because at that point he doesn't really care because he's made the top four anyway. And Bully goes and nicks top spot in the league with a win.
I say Bully nicks top spot as well, but I think he beats Johnny Clayton to do so. I think Clayton just frees up his arm to beat Gezi after beating Nathan Aspinall, booking his spot there. Gets a couple of games to just chill out. It's the perfect little spot, that second game on. Yeah, job done. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
And we go from...
So we agree on a night winner, which doesn't happen very often.
We say Smith wins. Oh, hang on. Have we just backed 4 in a row for Smith and 5 in total?
I'm going in 5 in a row. I'm going early on predictions.
No, you got to come back next week and we'll do a prediction for finals night.
I've gone early.
Well, you can come back next week and bring that same energy if that's how you're feeling right there. Craig says Clayton loses to Smith. He's backed me. And Matthew says Clayton beats Smith. All 4 of us have got Smith in the final in some regard. He just looks unstoppable right now, doesn't he? Thankfully, though, we are stoppable because you don't want to listen to us rant on any longer. It is midnight here in the UK. A big thank you to everybody for joining us this evening. A few quick notices before we do go. The Orator is back this weekend. We will have articles up online for you because we'll be covering the women's series. Yes, the full day streams return. Myself, Phil Bars in action, and hopefully a few others from the team will hop on throughout the weekend to see if Bo Greaves can continue her dominance. So you can join us all weekend. The Smoda Super Series is obviously in play as it is pretty much all the time these days. So you can head over to the Super Series YouTube channel or Sporty Stuff TV on your TV channels to catch some more darting action if you so wish. Monday night, the Live Lounge will return. We're hoping to have a few of the Women's Series players as guests this week. It seems rather topical that they're in action. Next week, we're back with the final week of the Fallout Bar. We're not sure if we'll do one after Premier League finals night, because obviously that will be our content to discuss on the Live Lounge the following few days. As ever, though, if you don't do so already, make sure you head over to all of our socials and follow us there. The interviews from Michael Smith and Johnny Clayton are available in full on our YouTube channel. And a quick reminder, if you are a cricket fan, Cam and Jar have got you covered this summer with the T20 Blast pod, so you can go and check those guys out. Listen to this guy ramble even more with the Housewife's Choice. A big thank you to everybody that has joined us once again. We've been Online Darts here from the Fallout Bar, and we will speak to you all very, very soon.